In a groundbreaking discovery, astronomers have captured a rare cosmic handshake. Two blazing quasars in the process of merging. Located billions of light years away, these luminous monsters are powered by supermassive black holes that are spiraling towards each other, destined to become a single, even more powerful and massive entity. What is going on here? Let us explore this further. Imagine looking at a single point of light in the night sky. A light so bright it outshines the entire galaxy of hundreds of billions of stars. Now imagine looking closer and realizing that the single point isn't one object, it's two. And they are rushing towards each other at millions of miles per hour. Astronomers have just confirmed one of the rarest sights in our universe, a pair of blazing quasars caught in the middle of chaotic, violent merger. This isn't just a pretty light show. It is a snapshot of the early universe, a time when the galaxies were still young and messy. Today we are going to peel back the layers of this discovery. We will talk about what is quasar actually is, how we found these two needle and haystack twins, and why this discovery might be a crystal ball looking into the future of our own Milky Way. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Before we can understand the collision, we have to understand the titles involved here. The word quasar, which is in short for quasi-stellar radio source, to the early telescope of the 1960s, they looked like stars, but they behaved like monsters. At the heart of every quasar is a supermassive black hole, but the black hole itself isn't the light you see. Black hole by definition don't let light escape. Instead, the glow came from the accretion disk, and as the black hole's gravity pull in massive amount of gas, dust, and even entire stars, that material spins around the center like water goes down the drain. The friction and the gravity heat this material to millions of degrees, causing it to glow with more energy than thousands of galaxies combined. They are the ultimate cosmic lighthouses, visible from very edge of the observable universe. When we see a quasar, we are seeing a black hole that is feeding. Finding a single quasar is hard. Finding two that are merging is nearly impossible. Why? Because they are so far away that they are usually appear as single blurry dot. But recently, a team of astronomers using the Gaia Space Observatory noticed something strange. Gaia is designed to track the positions of stars with incredible precision. While looking at the known quasars, they noticed a jiggle. The light wasn't moving in space, but its intensity was flickering back and forth between 2 points, like a railroad crossing signal seen from a distance. To confirm their suspicions, they called in the big guns, the Hubble Space Telescope and the Gemini North Telescope in Hawaii. Hubble's sharp eyes revealed that this wasn't just a trick of light or gravitational lensing, where a closer galaxy acts as a magnifying glass. No, these were two distinct massive galaxies, each with its own feeding black holes at the center, physically bound by gravity. They are currently separated by only about 10,000 light years, which in cosmic terms is like two people standing on opposite sides of the living room. This specific pair of quasars is special because of when we are seeing them, because the light takes time to travel. Looking deep into space is like looking back in time. We are seeing these quasars as they were just 900 million years after the Big Bang. This puts them squarely in the epoch of reionization. This was the cosmic dawn, the era when the very first stars and galaxies were turning on and clearly, moving away from the cold, dark hydrogen fog that filled the early universe. Seeing two quasars merging this early tells us that supermassive black holes didn't just grow slowly over billions of years, they grew through violence. They grew by eating each other. This discovery helps scientists refine their simulations of how the universe evolved from a hot soup of particles into a structured web of galaxies that we see today. You might be wondering, that's 12 billion years ago. Why does it matter to us now? Well, the Great Cosmic Collision is a preview of our own destiny. Right now, our galaxy, the Milky Way, is on a collision course with our neighbor, the Andromeda Galaxy. In about 4 to 5 billion years, our two galaxies will begin the same dance these quasars are doing right now. Our own central black hole Sagittarius A star, which is currently quiet and not feeding, might wake up during the merger. And as from a gas from the Andromeda gets shoved into our galactical center, our black hole could ignite, turning a Milky Way into a blazing quasar for an distant alien astronomers to see. The two quasars we're talking about today have likely already finished their merger. In the now of the universe, they are probably one single gargantuan elliptical galaxy with one massive black hole at its core. We are just not catching the echoes of their ancient battle. It reminds us that the universe is not static place. It's a dynamic, evolving, and often violent masterpiece. Every time we find a pair like this, we add another piece to the puzzle of where we came from, where the cosmos is going, etc. So friends, thanks for joining in on this journey across space and time. If you want to keep exploring the wonders of the universe, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, please keep looking up. Before I part ways, a word from our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends. All of us sometimes get this feeling that our technical expertise or our hustle hold us back from our true potential for the true leadership. Everybody gets this kind of a feeling. Therefore, we dive deep into the most powerful leadership secrets from Bhagavad Gita. In a verse where Lord Krishna, Bhagwan Krishna tells Arjun, "Oh Arjun, be a yogi." But what does this mean for a modern CEO or an entrepreneur to be a yogi? Today, we are going to break down why the yogi, the leader with disciplined equanimity, consistently outperform the three most common type of executive. Let's go. In the modern corporate world, we are taught that to win, you must be a specialist. You must be the smartest person in the room, the hardest worker in the office, or the most disciplined follower of the playbook. We obsess over KPIs, data points, and 80-hour work week. But have you ever noticed that even the most brilliant specialists eventually hit a ceiling? They burn out. They get blindsided by market shifts. They lose their team. Why? Because they are missing what ancient wisdom calls the unfair advantage. Over 7,000 years ago, on a battlefield far removed from the modern glass walled boardrooms, a guide named Bhagwan Krishna gave a piece of advice to a leader in crisis. That advice is found in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 46, and it says, quote starts, the yogi is superior to the ascetic. He is deemed superior even to the man of knowledge, and he is superior to the man of ritual action. Therefore, O Arjun, be a yogi. Today we are going to translate this ancient code into a roadmap for the 21st century leadership. We are going to explore why a yogi beats a specialist every single time. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Moving on, what are the different kinds of most common executives? First is aesthetic, which in Sanskrit known as tapasvi. In Gita, tapasvi is someone who practices extreme self-denial. In the corporate world, this is the grind culture CEO. They are the first one in and last one out. They sacrifice sleep, family, health. They believe that if they just suffer more than the competition, they will win. But Krishna warns us, sheer endurance without balance leads to a narrow vision. Number 2 is Jnani, which is the man of knowledge. This is the data-driven specialist, the CEO with Ivy League pedigree and the analytics mind that can spot a trend in a spreadsheet from miles away. They have the facts, but they often lack wisdom. They are paralyzed by the data if the data is missing, and they often struggle to connect with the human element of their business. Number 3 is Karmi, the man of ritual action. This is a process-driven executive. They live by SOPs. They believe that if the ritual of the business, which is the meeting, the reports, different kinds of pyramids, bell curve, if they are followed perfectly, success is guaranteed. But when the world changes, they are too rigid to pivot. Bhagwan Krishna says yogi is better than all three. Why? Because the yogi CEO is a leader who has mastered their inner environment. They don't just possess knowledge, they possess clarity. They don't just work hard, they work purposefully. They don't just follow process, they follow a vision. A yogi's unfair advantage is equanimity. Think about the last time your company faced a crisis. Did you react out of fear? Did you make desperate move based on a dip in the stock prices? A yogi CEO operates from the neutral center. They are not swayed by the high of massive profit or low of the market crash. While everyone else is reacting, the yogi is responding. This isn't about being passive, it's about being so internally grounded that your decision making becomes clinical, fast, and remarkably accurate. That is the definition of the competitive edge. There are several things we can actually discuss around this, but I want to be brief. And therefore, the first advice I want to give you is the cognitive flexibility. The specialist is a hammer, and to them, every problem looks like a nail. But a yogi isn't attached to one way of thinking because they aren't defined by their expertise. They can see the whole board. They can integrate the hard work of aesthetic and the data of Jnani and the process of karmi without being enslaved by any of them. Second is the emotional intelligence. The yogi understand that a business is just a collection of human beings. By mastering their own minds, they naturally become master of empathy. They can read the room, they can inspire a team during a pivot because they aren't projecting their own anxiety onto other subordinates. Third, sustainable high performance. The ascetic CEO eventually burns out. The yogi CEO understands the rhythm of action and reset. They operate with sense of detachment and therefore detached engagement. They care deeply about results, but they aren't consumed by them. This detachment actually allows them to perform better because they aren't choked by the fear of failure. So, how do we become a yogi CEO? Very big question, right? Let's start. It starts with realization that your most important business tool isn't your laptop, your network, or your bank account. It is your own mind. As verse 46 concludes, it says, therefore be a yogi, O Arjun. Very, it's like a proverb. Be a yogi, O Arjun. Such few words, but very profound meaning. This is a call to action for every leader. Don't just be a worker. Don't just be an expert. Don't just be a bureaucrat. Cultivate the discipline of the mind. Practice the equanimity that allows you to see through the noise of the market. Lead from a place of stillness, and you will find the impossible problems starting to solve themselves. The specialist sees the obstacle. The yogi sees the path. Which one will you be? Let me know in the comments below. Before I part ways today, a few words about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends. Can ancient wisdom solve the modern leadership crisis? In this executive training session, we dive deep into the Bhagavad Gita to explore the concept of transcendent leadership. The true leadership excellence isn't just about strategy, it's about being. Learn how to cultivate the vision of equality, a state of equanimity where decisions are made free from personal bias, ego, and favoritism. By mastering the divine impartiality, C-suite leaders can conquer the cycle of reactive management and establish a culture of trust, innovation, and sustainable success. Let us explore this further. In the modern C-suite, we are taught to be decisive. We are taught to be analytical. But how often are we taught to be equal? Every day you face a storm of preferences. You have favorite projects, difficult stakeholders, and team members who either mirror your energy or drain it. This is the cycle of the corporate life. The constant swing between liking and disliking, winning and losing. But what if there are a third way? A way to lead from place so stable that the market volatility cannot shake your inner clarity. 7,000 years ago, Bhagavad Gita identified this state in chapter 5, verse 19, and it says, quote starts, even here in this world, they have conquered creation. Those whose minds are established in equality, since the eternal is defect free and equal, they are established in the eternal. Quote close. Today we call this transcendent leadership. Now, friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel, and also I will know who is watching and who is not. The words mention two critical words, equality and impartiality. In business context, impartiality is often taken for being cold or indifferent. That is a misconception. Divine impartiality is not about caring less, it's about seeing more. Most leaders see through a lens of utility. They ask, how is this person useful to me right now? This creates a fragmented organization built on transactional relationship. The transcendent leader, however, sees the eternal in everyone. They recognize that every employee, from the intern to the CFO, is a manifestation of the same underlying potential. When you lead with this vision, you stop reacting to people's personality and start responding to their potential. By being defect free like the eternal, you remove the defects of leadership and also remove biases, nepotism, and ego driven anger. You become the steady point in a turning world. The words claim these leaders have conquered creation. In the boardroom, creation is the project, the product launch, or the quarterly earnings. We usually live in a cycle of various things, starting with attachments, whether this project succeed or if not, then I will not feel successful, right? Next is fear. What if we fail? Third is reaction, micromanagement, or blame somebody else. So transcendental leadership breaks the cycle. When your mind is established in equality, you realize that your worth is not tied to the birth of a success or the death of the failure. Think about most respected leaders that you know, right? They are the ones who stay calm when the stock price drops and stay humble when it soars. They conquered their emotional cycles of the workplace. They are the transcendental leaders. They are actually living on a transcendental situation. They operate from a higher frequency where they can see the solution while everyone else is still panicked by the problem. So friends, how do you apply the verse 5.19 tomorrow morning? And I would like to suggest 3 pillars for you to basically implement this theory in practice, starting with 360-degree human view. That is the first thing that you need to change in your personality. So next time you are in a meeting, consciously look at the person you disagree with most. Remind yourself that their core essence is no different from yours. This doesn't mean that you agree with their strategy. It means you respect their presence. This dissolves hostility and opens the door to genuine negotiations. Second, decision making in the gap. So, that is the second change that you need to bring about. Between a stimulus and your response, there is a gap. Use that gap to ask, am I deciding based on the personal preference, or am I deciding based on the equal good of the organization? Third is relinquish I actor, which is, in other words, is ego. So Bhagavad Gita teaches that the leader is not the sole cause of success. You are a channel. When you share the quality of the divine, you share the credit, you share the wisdom, you share the burden as well. Verse 19 concludes by saying that those who master this equality are established in the eternal. For a leader, this is the ultimate competitive advantage. It is the transcendental situation, a state of high performance peace. You aren't just managing a company, you are mastering yourself. When you lead with impartiality, you don't just build a better business, you build a legacy of wisdom. You become a leader that people don't just follow because of a paycheck, but because your very presence brings clarity to their chaos. The challenge for you today is therefore is simple. Find one situation where you are biased and bring the light of equality to it. Conquer your inner world, and you will inevitably conquer your professional one as well. So, friends, thank you for your presence and your leadership, and thanks for joining live with me. We have come to the end, but before I end, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Friends, is the world on the brink of economic meltdown? In this video, we break down the explosive news as President Trump announces a staggering 50% tariff on Chinese imports. This massive escalation comes on the heel of the collapsed Islamabad Peace Summit, sending shockwaves through global market and intensifying the fear of all-out trade war once again. We dive deep into the geopolitical fallout, the failed negotiations in Pakistan, and what these new trade barriers mean for our wallet, the tech industry, and the future of international relations. Let's go. The diplomatic table has been flipped. What started as a high stake attempt at the global stabilization in Islamabad has ended in a spectacular public breakdown, and the response from White House, it's an economic earthquake. Now, President Trump has just officially announced a 50% tariff on nearly all Chinese imports. We aren't talking about a negotiating tactics or a minor adjustment anymore. This is the nuclear option of a trade policy. In the next 10 minutes, we are going to peel back the curtain on why the Islamabad Peace Summit failed so catastrophically, how these tariffs will ripple through your bank accounts, and why analysts are calling this the beginning of the most dangerous economic era since the Great Depression. So friends, buckle up. This trade war didn't just restart, it just went nuclear, it just went ballistic. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's continue our analysis. To understand the 50% hammer, we have to look at the wreckage of Islamabad Peace Summit. For weeks, the world watched Pakistan with bated breath. This was supposed to be a grand bargain, a moment where the US and Chinese finally found a middle ground on security, intellectual property, and regional influence. But the reports came out of the closed door session described a scene of total deadlock. Well, the sticking point is it wasn't just trade, it was the refusal to compromise on tech sovereignty and failed resolution of the maritime disputes as well. When the Chinese delegation walked out on the final day without a joint, when I say Chinese, it's basically the Iranian as well, because world knows that the Iran is completely backed by Chinese and Russian. Alright, so when they walked out on the final day without a joint statement, the peace summit became a press disaster. The Trump administrator and their philosophy has been, strength through leverage. Without a deal, the White House felt they had no choice but to maximize the pressure. The 50% tariff isn't just a tax, it's a direct retaliation of the perceived lack of cooperation in Islamabad. In economic terms, what we call is a decoupling accelerator. At 50%, it becomes mathematically impossible for many American companies to maintain their current supply chain in China. And if you're an American retailer, a 50% tax at the border wipe out an entire profit margin, and you are left only with two choices: pass the cost to the consumer, which is guys like you and me, or move your manufacturing elsewhere. Well, this is time consuming, it will take years. From semiconductors to the shoes on your feet, every single line item is about to get a Trump surcharge. This is a bold gamble that US economy is strong enough to absorb the shock, while the Chinese manufacturing sector buckles under the weight of lost business. The reaction from Wall Street has been instantaneous. We saw the Dow and the Nasdaq took triple-digit dives within minutes of the announcement. But the real chaos is happening in the shipping lanes. The logistics experts are warning of supply chain gridlock. Importers are scrambling to the front door shipment before the tariffs officially takes effect, leading to a massive bottleneck at the various coast, especially American coast. And we already know that the Strait of Hormuz is also blocked. And then there is a retaliation factor. China has already signaled that they won't take this lying down. In fact, yesterday their foreign ministry said that please stop interfering in our affairs. So we are looking at a potential export ban on rare earth mineral, the stuff needed to make electrical car batteries and smartphones. And if the US tax Chinese goods, then China cut off the raw material to make those goods elsewhere. We aren't just looking at the higher prices, we are looking at the scarcity. So is there anyone winning here? So in the short term, domestic manufacturers in the US might see a surge in demand as the foreign competition becomes too expensive. Countries like Vietnam, Mexico and India are also positioning themselves to catch the overflow as companies flee the Chinese market. But for the average consumer, the winner column is looking pretty thin. Economists warn that this could be a reignite of the inflation, just as we thought we had it under control. If $1,000 iPhone suddenly costs $1,400 because of the trade levy, the consumer spending, the engine of the American economy, could stall. So let's discuss pros and cons. What are the pros? Reshoring of the jobs, increased leverage in future deals, reduced dependency on rival. And what are the cons? Higher inflation, stock market volatility, and strained relation with allies who are caught up in different crossfires across the world. So where do we go from here? The 50% tariff is more than just a policy. It's a line in the sand. It signals that the era of globalism at any cost is officially over. We are moving into a bipolar world where you are either in the Western trade bloc or you are not, or you're out basically. The big question remains, will China blink, or will this trade war escalate into a full-blown economic Cold War that lasts for generations? One thing is certain, the failure in Islamabad wasn't the end of the story. It was the prologue to a much more intense chapter in global history. So friends, I want to hear from you. Do you think 50% tariff is the right move to protect the American interest? Or is it the risk of a global recession too high? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and after receiving your comments, I will basically start making more analysis in future on the same subject. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. We are going to be tracking this market reaction throughout the week and keep bringing the analysis to you. Thanks for watching. I am CK and I will catch you again in the next one. Before I leave this section, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. The biggest question today that we have to tackle is, why does everything exist at all? For decades, the physicists have been haunted by the antimatter mystery. The fact that the Big Bang should have produced equal amount of matter and antimatter, leading to total annihilation and an empty universe. But a groundbreaking theory suggests that answer lies in the exploding black holes. In this video, we dive deep into the world of primordial black holes, PBH, tiny high energy black holes formed seconds after the birth of the universe. Unlike their massive cousins, these tiny titans don't just sit there, they evaporate through Hawking radiation, eventually ending in violent explosions. We will explore how these cosmic firecrackers may have tipped the scale, creating the slight excess of matter that allowed stars, planets, and humans to form. Let us explore this further. Friends, what happens is that everything eventually fall into black hole. If you go very close to the black hole, you will see that the black hole will actually pull you in and then devour you, speedify you, and you know really bad thing happens to you. Your energy is sucked out and becomes part of the black hole. And so scientists used to wonder, what will happen to black hole. Are they eternal? And it turns out that the Stephen Hawking said no, they are not, because they are also radiating. And that radiation, very very minute radiation, very faint, is now what we call the Hawking radiation. Well, this video is not about Hawking radiation, but the important part is that even black hole, which are the biggest sucker of the universe, also radiate. And therefore, if they are radiating, that means their mass is going to reduce eventually, and then they will have to completely evaporate. However, black holes don't go out simply evaporate. When they come to the minimum size that they can have, there is a internal pressure, or the pressure of the vacuum, because of which, after crossing that threshold, I mean, they have the event horizon, but they also have a minimum size horizon. Once they cross that, they simply explode. They cannot, the inward pressure cannot hold, and it evaporates or explode instantaneously, and the energy is released back into the universe. And that is what may have caused the extra matter that we see, the energy released after exploding of the initial black holes. So now scientists have debated, and they have agreed upon that when the universe formed, there were trillions, gazillions of the primordial black holes formed. These are microscopic black holes, and they are very small as a proton, but they have a mass equal to a moon. So they have still very strong power. They can pull things towards them. They can devour everything, but they are quite small, very difficult to detect. And since they are small, that means their time came before our solar system took birth. When we started coming to the world, the primordial, I mean, that's the assumption again, the primordial black holes would have been long gone. So now going back to the mystery. The mystery is, when the universe formed, there should be equal amount of matter and antimatter. Matter is what we are made of, and antimatter is equally an opposite matter. And when these two guys touch each other or come close to each other, they completely annihilate into a pure energy. So now we know that there was equal amount of matter and antimatter was formed in the initial first day of the universe, and then after some time, the matter antimatter came close again and annihilated, and therefore there was a second bang. And we now know that the second bang really happened, and then it was still in the very early stages of the universe formation. However, if we take the if we consider the PBH, which is the primordial black hole, very very tiny small black holes, if they were also formed before the annihilation happened, that means that portion of the matter was not part of the second bang, right? That means the second bang happened, the matter and antimatter collided and exploded with releasing a lot of energy into the space. However, the PBH were out of this explosion, and they evaporated, releasing a lot of matter. And that is where the mystery of why we do not see antimatter in the space. Whatever we see today using our very advanced telescope, we don't see anything made of antimatter. We see everything made of electrons, protons, neutrons, atoms. All of this is matter, and we don't see. Although we can make antimatter in the laboratory, but it does not last because it's very difficult to hold the antimatter. It will mix with matter and annihilate in pure energy. Nothing is left. It's a matter antimatter explosion is the best explosion, best release of energy, because there are no byproducts out of that. Pure energy is released. So when we don't see antimatter in the universe naturally occurring, that gave rise to the mystery, and that is what we are discussing today. What happened to the antimatter and why we exist at all? I mean, when matter and antimatter were produced, and then the second bang happened, then from where this matter remained in the universe, of which we are all made of, all the stars in the heavens, all the planets, all the living beings are made of matter. So scientists are now saying that the PBH may be responsible, because PBH would have survived the second bang, and then later they evaporated, releasing the energy, which then condensed into matter. And there was no question of antimatter, that energy condensing into antimatter. And that is why, if this is true, well, it is very difficult to prove or disprove this, but if this is true, this explains why we exist, why the universe exists, why stars, why the physics exist, right? So this is something which I wanted to discuss in the universe section today. If you have any thoughts, any comments, please share those in the comment section below. Thanks for joining live, and I will catch you again in the next one.
The vast expanse of India's mythological and spiritual heritage, Jamadagni emerges as a figure who embodies both wisdom and strength. A sage of Bhrigu lineage and one of the revered Saptarishi, he was not confined to meditation alone. His life was a rare fusion of scholarship and martial mastery. Jamadagni's household was a sanctuary of Vedic learning where the sacred hymns were preserved, transmitted, yet it was also a place where the science of weaponry, the art of warfare were refined into discipline of dharma, that is righteousness. His bow, saranga, and his knowledge of Dhanur Veda symbolize the union of intellect and arm, teaching the weapon are not instrument of conquest, but the guardian of righteousness. Jamadagni's life was not merely about personal achievement. It was about shaping the legacy that would endure through his son Parshuram, the warrior sage who carried forward his father's vision of dharma defended by strength. Thus, Jamadagni stands at the crossroad of meditation and battlefield, of the scholarship and strategy, reminding us that the true greatness lies in the harmonizing wisdom with power. In the tapestry of ancient Indian tradition, Jamadagni stands as a figure of profound duality. At once a sage immersed in spiritual wisdom, and the other part, he is the master of martial science. His life reflects the delicate balance between pursuit of knowledge and the necessity of defense, between the serenity of meditation and the discipline of warfare. Jamaat Agni's contribution to the science of weaponry and the art of warfare are legendary. As a descendant of great sage Brigu, he inherited not only the spiritual insight but also a deep understanding of martial techniques. Ancient texts describe him as a custodian of Dhanur Veda, a branch of knowledge that encompass the use of bow, arrow, and divine weapons. His bow, Saranga, became the symbol of his mastery, later passed on to his son, Parshuram, who wielded it into a campaign against the Kshatriyas. Jamaat Agni's teaching emphasized discipline, precision, and the ethical use of force, that is also applies on warfare. It was not just for the conquest, but for the protection of dharma, which is righteousness. In this way, he elevated martial science into a sacred art and inseparable from moral responsibility. The bow of dharma can be seen in the modern cybersecurity and AI governance. Our digital weapon, algorithms, data, and code must be aimed at protecting truth, justice, and not the exploitation. The legacy reminds us that the technology is powerful only when aligned with the ethical purpose. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will determine the reach of our channel. So going forward, yet the Jamaat Agnis was not merely a warrior sage. His spiritual and scholarly contribution are equally profound. As one of the verse revered Saptarishi, he played a vital role in preserving and transmitting the Vedic knowledge. His devotion to meditation, or spirituality, made him a beacon of righteousness. His household became the center of learning. Legend recounts his ability to command nature itself, receiving boons from Surya, the sun god, and harnessing the divine cow, Kamdhenu, which symbolize abundance and substance. These stories reflect his stature as a sage who could bridge the material and the spiritual, guided by, and definitely that will help in guiding humanity towards balance. This was very important in the context of making the balance. If we think deeper and find out in 2026, that is actually more relevant. This continuity reflects how knowledge passes from one generation to the next, and today's AI pioneering inherit both innovation and responsibility. The art of war in 2026 is not just about weapon, but about navigating global conflict in cyber space, in trade wars, and AI ethics. Jamaat Agni's story reminds us that every new generation must weld its tool with wisdom. The tragedy of Jamaat Agni's death, slain by the men of King Kartivirya Arjun for refusing to surrender Kamdhenu, underscores the eternal tension between the spiritual authority and the worldly power. His martyrdom ignited Parshuram's vow to rid the earth of oppressive rulers, ensuring that Jamaat Agni's legacy lived on not only in a scholarship but also in action. Through his son, his teaching on weaponry, dharma were carried forward, shaping one of the most dramatic cycles in Hindu mythology. So Jamaat Agni's life thus embodies a rare synthesis: the science of warfare tempered by spiritual wisdom, He demonstrated that true mastery of arms must be guided by restraint, ethics, and devotion to higher principle. His scholarly contribution ensured the continuity of Vedic tradition, while his martial legacy empower future generation to defend righteousness. And him, the sage and the warrior, were not opposite, but actually it is kind of a two face of one life dedicated to preservation of dharma, that is righteousness. Now, if we see in the context of 2026, this mirrors actually how nations and corporation debate the ethical use of AI autonomous weapon. Just as Jamadagni's insisted on restraining, today's leaders grappled with ensuring AI-driven defense system remain accountable to human values. So Jamadagni's life is a reminder that the pursuit of wisdom and the mastery of strength are not opposite paths, but a complementary one. As sage, he safeguarded the Vedic tradition, nurtured the scholarship and the spiritual discipline. As a master of weaponry, he elevated warfare into a sacred science, teaching that arms must serve the righteousness rather than ambition. His martyrdom at the hand of worldly power underscores the kind of softness of spiritual authority. Yet, through Parshuram, his legacy endured and ensured that righteousness would always find a defender. So in Jamadagnis, we see the rare union of scholar, warrior, and meditation, and of course the meditation and the battlefield. His contribution continues to inspire, remind us that the true greatness lies not in domination, but in harmonizing knowledge with the responsibility and strength with virtue. So Jamadagni's contribution lies in his rare synthesis, and also it also reminds us, his story continues to inspire us, remind us that wisdom, strength must walk hand in hand. So please send your comments and subscribe our channel for more insight into Indian mythology and spirituality. See you in the next one. But before we close this live stream, a few words about our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready, comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends. In the high-stake world of corporate leadership, volatility is the only constant. But what separates a good leader from an unshakable one? In this video, we explore the profound wisdom of Bhagavad Gita and its direct application to the modern CEOs and different high leadership executives. We dive deep into the concept of samadhi, not as a mystical retreat, but as the ultimate state of the mental clarity and decision making. Let us proceed further on this thought. Let me ask you, why do highly successful CEOs suddenly burn out, lose their grip, or watch their corporate empire crumble? The answer isn't found in a modern business textbook. It was written thousands of years ago in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, in this video, we break down Bhagavad Gita and translate its profound wisdom into survival guide for the modern executive. Let's go. What is the ultimate destination for a highly successful CEO? Very profound question, but very difficult to answer. If you look at the tech world, Wall Street, or startup ecosystem, the playbook says exponential growth, massive exits, and legacy carved in stone, and ultimate control. But look at all this a little closer at the corporate history. Why do some of the most brilliant minds, leaders who build empires suddenly burn out? Why do they make catastrophic ethical lapses? Why do they watch their organizations crumble from within? Most businesses and training institutes and schools will tell you it's a failure of a strategy, a shift in the market dynamics, or a poor risk management. But thousands of years ago, a profound spiritual text diagnosed the true cause of this corporate collapse. It is not the failure of strategy, it is a failure of identity. Today, we are diving deep into Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 24. We are going to look past the religious context and uncover a brutal, timeless, psychological warning that every modern founder, executive, and leaders need to hear before it's too late. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Those who do not understand that I am the real enjoyer and the supreme lord of each and every sacrifice, they fall down and remain in the cycle of life and death, and the quote close. Let's unpack this because to a modern executive, words like sacrifice and lord sound detached from Q4 KPIs and the boardroom meetings. But if we translate the core metaphysics into leadership psychology, the wisdom is startling. In Gita, sacrifice, which is in other words yagna, represents collective effort, hard work, dedicated action towards a goal. In your company, the sacrifice is the late night your engineers pull, and the capital your investor risk, and the daily grind of your sales team. The verse states there is a real enjoyer, a supreme purpose, a greater collective good, a universal force. But here is a pitfall. The verse warns that those who do not recognize this truth, those who believe they are the ultimate owner and the sole enjoyer of all these collective efforts, will inevitably fall down. This brings us to the ego trap. When an entrepreneur starts a company, they are driven by a vision. They sacrifice their comfort, their sleep, and their time. But as the company grows and success pours in, a subtle shift happens in leaders' psychology. The ego takes over. The CEO begins to think, I built this. This $1 billion valuation is because of my genius. The employees are sacrificing their time so that I can enjoy the profit and the fame. They declare themselves the real enjoyer. When the leader makes this mental shift, they detach themselves from the reality. They become obsessed with the fruits of the labor rather than the quality of the work, and this is what the Gita calls attachment to the result. Look at the corporate giants of the last few decades who fell from the grace, from Enron to spectacular crashes of certain modern tech unicorns. It's almost never a lack of intelligence. It is always their hubris. The leader begin to believe they are above the rules, above the ecosystem, and completely responsible for the sun rising and setting on their industry. And just as the verse warns, they plummet. The second part of the verse says that because they don't understand this truth, they remain in the cycle of life and death. In a corporate context, this is the exhausting, endless cycle of cyclic failure and burnout. When you believe you are the sole enjoyer and bearer of the company's burden, you carry an unsustainable weight. Every market dip feels like a personal attack. Every failed product feels like an existential crisis. You find yourself trapped in a loop. You chase temporary success. You achieve milestones and your ego inflates. Because your ego is inflated, you make a blind, arrogant decision. The business takes a hit, leading to loss of purpose and intense anxiety. You scramble frantically to fix it, restarting the cycle, etc. This is the corporate, sansar or the world, the cycle of the professional life and death. You are constantly fighting to protect your self image rather than steering the ship. You aren't building a legacy, you are running an emotional treadmill fueled by fear and pride. So, what is the antidote here? How does the modern CEO applies chapter 9 and verse 24 to find sustainable success? The secret lies in moving from ownership mind to a stewardship mindset. In the visual rendering of this lesson, I mean, if you start imagining, the act as a steward, your relationship with the company changes. First, the burden lifts. If you are not the ultimate owner of the result, you no longer carry the paralyzing fear of the failure. You focus purely on the execution, the karma, and leave the outcome to the market, the universe, or the collective ecosystem. Second, your team thrives. True sustainable leadership happens when a CEO realizes they are there to serve the vision and not the other way around. Employees can sense when a leader wants all the credit. Conversely, they will run through brick walls for a leader who shares the triumph and views the company's success as a collective sacrifice. You shift from saying, "Look what I made," to "Look what I have been trusted to guide." So, next time when you look at your company's quarterly metrics, your rising valuation, or even your personal achievement, take a step back. Remember the warning of Gita 9.24. Do not fall into the trap of thinking you are the ultimate master of the universe. Recognize the immense sacrifices of your employees, your customers, and the ecosystem supporting you. Dedicated your corporate efforts to cause higher than your own bank account or your personal ego. When you shift from being a self-proclaimed leader of your empire to the humble steward of your vision, you don't just avoid the ultimate CEO pitfall, you unlock a deeper level of clarity, resilience, and sustainable success that no market crash can ever take away from you. So friends, thanks for joining live. Thanks for watching. If this ancient perspective on the modern business resonate with you, hit the like button, share this with your fellow leaders, and subscribe for more deep dives into timeless wisdom for the modern business world. Lead with humility, focus on the effort, and let go of the ego. So friends, I will see you in the next video. Before I go, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends and namaskar. Do you know that the Gurugram real estate prices have skyrocketed by 18%? Therefore, in this video, we break down exactly why property demand in Gurugram is hitting new high in 2026 and what this means for home buyers and the real estate investors. Let's go and explore this further. If you have been looking at the property in Gurugram lately, you'll probably noticed that same thing I have in the market is basically on fire. So what was cheaper earlier is now becoming expensive. We are looking at an 18% jump in the prices, and that isn't just a random number. It's a signal of a massive shift in the Millennium City. But is this a bubble about to burst, or is there some actual solid value behind these numbers? Today we are breaking down exactly what is happening in Gurugram real estate market in 2026, and more importantly whether you should be buying, selling, or staying on the sidelines when the property is soaring so much. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, first, let's get the big question out of the way. Why 18%? A lot of people see this and think probably, perhaps, speculative bubble. But when you look at the data, it's actually a structural repricing. We are seeing a perfect storm of three things: infrastructure, corporate expansion, and flight to quality. Not all of the Gurugram is growing at the same rate. We are seeing two-speed market. This is the part everyone asked me about. Is it too late to enter? So when we talk about two-speed market, so there are places in Gurugram which are moving slowly, but there are hot cakes, very prime locations which are growing at 18%, especially in 2026. So question is it too late to enter? No, market is absolutely risk free. We had a massive price run up in the short 30 months window, and you need to be aware of the risk also, like potential interest rate fluctuations and the fact that we have pulled forward several years of expected appreciation into the current window. So in the end, I would like to tell you that look for a 7-year plus holding period if you are buying right now. This isn't a get rich quick game anyway. It is a long term wealth building strategy in a maturing global city. And Gurugram is a very happening place. Also, there are a lot of business opportunities for people who live in Gurugram. So Gurugram isn't just a city, it's a structural growth story. Whether you are looking at the Dwarka Expressway or the established luxury of Golf Course Road, the key is doing your homework. Don't buy the hype, but buy the fundamentals. So friends, the prices are going up, and my advice is to basically look for a property based on your budget and location preferences, but definitely this is the right time to invest in Gurugram real estate market. If you found this breakdown useful, hit that like button, subscribe our channel, uh, and look at the property price in Gurugram very seriously. Do let me know what sector you have in mind, and I can probably guide you further on that. My name is CK, and I will see you again in the next one.
In the furnace of ancient India, where the sages were scientists and labs were temples of an inquiry, one name glows like a molten gold: Nagarjuna. Not the philosopher of Mahayan fame, but the metallurgist and alchemist whose experiments with mercury, iron, and transmutation blurred the line between mysticism and the material science. Legend places him in a Vidarbha and Satvahana dynasty, working in hidden labs, chasing immortality, while perfecting techniques that still echoes in modern metallurgy. In 2026, as nanotechnology, refined alloys, and imitation jewelry thrives on his ancient method, Nagarjuna's story reminds us that the quest to transform matter is timeless as human spirit itself. So let's find out more. In the annals of Indian science, Nagarjuna stands as a figure both enigmatic and luminous. While the name Nagarjuna is often associated with great Buddhist philosopher of 2nd century CE, another tradition celebrates him as a metallurgist and alchemist of medieval India. The Nagarjuna, remembered in text and oral tradition, was a master of rasayan, the ancient Indian science of alchemy, and a pioneer in the metallurgy whose contribution continues to echo into the 21st century. Born, according to some account, in Vidarbha and later associated with Satvahan dynasty, Nagarjuna is said to have established labs in South India. Archaeological evidence from Nagalwadi in Maharashtra suggests that he conducted experiments in metallurgy and chemistry, working with substances like iron, mercury, and his curiosity was not limited to metals. He sought an elixir of immortality, invisibility, and transformation, blending mystical aspiration with the rigorous experimentation. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you are tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So moving forward, his most celebrated text is Rasa Ratnakar, is a compilation of chemical knowledge. In it, Nagarjuna discussed the acid, the metals, and the process of purification. He described a method for extracting gold, silver, tin, and copper, and even outlined the distillation techniques. These writings reveal a mind deeply engaged with the material world, yet always linking a chemical process to the spiritual purification. For Nagarjuna, the act of refining metal mirrored the refining or refinement of soul. Impurities must be removed, whether in the matter or in human character. One of his most intriguing contribution was gold shine mechanism. Through experiment, he discovered the ways to transmute the base metal into substance that resemble gold. While not true transmutation, this process produced a gold-like sheen technology that remarkably is still used today in the jewelry industry for imitation of ornament. Thus, a technique born in ancient labs continues to shape the modern aesthetics. Nagarjuna's influence extended beyond the metallurgy. He was also a physician, a yogi, contributing to Ayurveda through texts like Yoga Satak and the Jeev Sutra. His integration of chemistry with medicine enriched Indian medieval traditions, offering insight into the preparation of compound and the treatment. In this way, he embodied the interdisciplinary spirit, a scientist, a healer, a philosopher, rolled into one. In 2026, his legacy feels strikingly modern. His principle of articulated systematic experimentation, purification, and transformation resonate with the contemporary chemistry and the material science. His vision of linking matter and spirit anticipates today's holistic approach, where the science and philosophy are not seen as a opposite but as a contemporary path of understanding. Moreover, his experiment in distillation and meteorology remind us that India's scientific heritage is not peripheral but central to the global history of science. Nagarjun, the metallurgist, thus emerged as a bridge builder between philosophy and chemistry, between ancient aspiration and modern technologies. His labs may have been simple by today's standards, but his imagination was vast, reaching for the immortality and cosmic truth, while the grounding itself in the practical art of working with the metals. In honoring him, we recognize not only as a pioneer of Indian alchemy, but also a timeless symbol of human curiosity, the drive to transform, to refine, and to discover. Nagarjun's alchemy was more than a pursuit of gold. It was a pursuit of knowledge itself. In 2026, as we refine materials at nanoscale, explore new alloy for space exploration, we walk a path he helped to lay centuries ago, providing the fire of inquiry he kindled still that inquiry which he kindled that still actually burns within us in 2026. We have come to the end. Please like and subscribe this channel. Look forward for your comments. But before we end, few words about our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Friends, a very big question that we want to address today is, are we alone or are we just being watched? For decades, we have scanned the stars for signals, but new speculation from SETI and leading astrophysicists suggest a chilling possibility. It is already too late to hide. While we search for them, humanity has spent the last century broadcasting our presence to the cosmos. In this video, we dive deep into the great silence and why the latest breakthrough in technosignatures and planetary direction suggests that any advanced civilizations within 100 light years likely to already know Earth is a home to an industrial civilization. Let us explore this further. Hello friends, let me ask you, is your business trapped in a cycle of short-term wins that are secretly setting you up for a failure? If yes, then you have reached the right place. In this video, we break down a powerful 7,000-year-old leadership lesson from Bhagavad Gita that perfectly explains why successful companies suddenly go bankrupt. Many modern CEOs, business leaders, fall into the trap of chasing fleeting matrices, quarterly profit, temporary market hypes, and quick wins. But just as the Gita warns that exhausting your pity sends you back to the mortal realm, relying entirely on the past successes without continuous learning and innovation will drag your business back to square one. How this works, how this Bhagavad Gita verse help us, let's find out. Imagine this, your company just had its biggest quarter in history. Sales are through the roof, your stock prices is at all-time high, and you as a CEO are holding a trophy at an industry award gala. You are winning. But what if I told you that this exact moment of victory is the most dangerous moment of the entire career, of your entire career? What if I told you that the very mechanism behind your current success are quietly engineering your future bankruptcy? It sounds like paradox, but it happens every single day in the corporate world. We watch industry titans dominate a market only to vanish into irrelevance a few years later. Think of Nokia in 2007, think of Blockbuster, BlackBerry, or even Kodak. They weren't losing their downfall when the downfall began. They were actually winning. To understand why winning is so dangerous, we need to look at the modern economic textbook. We need to look back, 7,000 years ago on a battlefield. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 21, there is a profound psychological and strategic blueprint that explains exactly why successful entities collapses. Today, we are going to decode this timeless verse and look at the ultimate trap waiting for modern CEOs. So friends, if you've reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you're watching this video. This will help us determine who's actually watching the entire video and who's not. Alright, let's proceed further. Let's look at the verse itself. The text states, and the quote starts, when they exhaust their piety, they return to planet of mortals. The Vedic rituals can give you only so much of fleeting pleasures, followed by entanglement in the cycle of life and death again and again. And the quote close. Now, if you look at this purely through a religious or spiritual lens, it's talking about karma and afterlife. It describes people who perform good deeds and rituals to enter Swarga, the heavenly realm. They enjoy immense god-like pleasures, but there is a catch. Those pleasures are finite. The moment their pious merits runs out, they are instantly dropped right back to earth, trapped in a grueling cycle of life and death. But let's translate this into modern corporate language now, so that it makes sense for us. In business, piety or the merit is your competitive advantage. It's your breakthrough product, your brilliant initial strategy, or a favorable market trend. Vedic rituals are standard corporate processes. Your quarterly meetings, your recurring marketing campaigns, your traditional sales funnels, the structure that worked for you in the past. And the fleeting pleasures, what are those? That's your short-term revenue, your high profit margins, and your soaring valuation. Bhagavad Gita is giving us stark warning about expiration date of success. It tells us that no matter how high you fly on the merit of your past actions, that merit is a bank account that eventually hits zero. If you rely solely on your established corporate rituals without generating new value, you will exhaust your merit and crash straight back to the mortal realm, which in business means stagnation, disruption, and ultimate bankruptcy. Let's talk about how a CEO unknowingly exhausts their piety on Wall Street or in their startup ecosystem. When their company achieves product market fit, it experiences a massive rush of growth. Money pours in, the board is happy, the CEO feels invincible. This is the business equivalent of entering the heavenly realm. But this success creates a dangerous psychological trap, which is complacency disguised as efficiency. Instead of continuing to innovate, explore, and learn, the company shifts all its energy into protecting when it's already whatever it has. The CEO starts focusing entirely on executing the same old rituals. They optimize the supply chain by 2%. They squeeze another 1% out of marketing budget, and they repeat the exact formula that brought them here. They mistake operational efficiency for strategic longevity. Look at Nokia. In mid 2000s, they had a mountain of pious merit. They owned over 40% of the global mobile phone market. Their internal rituals, their hardware engineering and manufacturing pipeline were flawless. But while they were enjoying the fleeting pleasures of massive quarterly profits, the underlying landscape shifted. The iPhone arrived. Operating system changed from physical keypads to software ecosystem. Nokia past merit ran out faster than they could adapt. They hadn't invested in learning how to build a world-class software platform. Within a few short years, they returned to the planet of mortals. Their market share plummeted to near zero. They didn't fall because they stopped working hard. They failed because they kept performing the rituals of a world that no longer existed. The second part of the verse warns you of being entangled in the cycle of life and death again and again. In the corporate world, this is what I call the karmic loop of business. When a company relies entirely on a short term win, it becomes trapped in a frantic reactionary cycle. It looks like this: you experience a drop in sales because your product is getting outdated. How do you respond? Instead of fundamentally learning, innovating, and redesigning your strategy, you look for a quick fix, a corporate ritual, and you launch a massive discount campaign, or you cut cost by laying off staff to make quarterly balance sheet looks good. Boom, your number spikes up temporarily, you feel fleeting sense of pleasure, etc., etc. But because you didn't fix the root cause, your lack of innovation and learning, the numbers drop again a few months later. So what do? You repeat the cycle once more. More discounts, more cost cutting, more short term tricks, right? This is a treadmill of corporate survival. You are running as fast as you can just to stay in the exact same place, burning through your resources until finally you hit a wall, the market shifts permanently, your tricks stop working, and the business goes bankrupt. True leadership requires breaking free from the loop. It requires realizing that hitting this quarter's target is not the guarantee of the next year's survival. So, how does a modern CEO prevent their business from bankrupting itself during a winning streak? How do you stop your corporate piety from running out? The answer lies in shifting your mindset from exploitation to exploration. Unlock your infinite growth, which means understanding that your current success is merely a runaway. It's a buffer of time and capital given to you for one primary purpose: to fund your learning for the future. As a leader, you must never let your organization's capacity to execute outpace its capacity to learn. Dedicate a portion of your win not just to dividend or to stock buyback, but to relentless research and development. Build a corporate culture where questioning your own success is rewarded. Constantly ask your leadership team, what are the Vedic rituals we are performing out of habit that will become obsolete in 3 years? Bhagavad Gita reminds us that the temporary rewards are an illusion. In the world of business, if you are only playing for the next quarter, you are playing a finite game that has guaranteed end date. Don't let your current victories blind you. Treat your success not as a destination to rest in, but as a resource to burn as you build the future. Stop chasing the fleeting pleasures of short term metrics. Break free from the corporate loop and invest heavily in the continuous learning. And that is how you take a business from temporary mortal success and make it truly immortal. So, friends, if you have any questions, feel free to send it across. Thanks for joining live. Thanks for watching. If this timeless insight changed the way you view your current business strategy, hit the like button, share it with your fellow leaders, and subscribe for more deep dive into ancient wisdom for the modern executive. And let me know in the comments below what is one corporate ritual your company needs to rethink today. So I will see you in the next video. But before I go, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now, the biggest question today that we have to tackle is, why does everything exist at all? For decades, the physicists have been haunted by the antimatter mystery. The fact that the Big Bang should have produced equal amount of matter and antimatter, leading to total annihilation and an empty universe. But a groundbreaking theory suggests that answer lies in the exploding black holes. In this video, we dive deep into the world of primordial black holes, PBH, tiny high-energy black holes formed seconds after the birth of the universe. Unlike their massive cousins, these tiny titans don't just sit there, they evaporate through Hawking radiation, eventually ending in violent explosions. We will explore how these cosmic firecrackers may have tipped the scale, creating the slight excess of matter that allowed stars, planets, and humans to form. Let us explore this further. Friends, what happens is that everything eventually fall into black hole. If you go very close to the black hole, you will see that the black hole will actually pull you in and then devour you, speedify you, and really bad thing happens to you. Your energy is sucked out and becomes part of the black hole. And so scientists used to wonder, what will happen to black hole. Are they eternal? And it turns out that the Stephen Hawking said no, they are not, because they are also radiating, and that radiation, very very minute radiation, very faint, is now what we call the Hawking radiation. Well, this video is not about Hawking radiation, but the important part is that even black hole, which are the biggest sucker of the universe, also radiate, and therefore if they are radiating, that means their mass is going to reduce eventually, and then they will have to completely evaporate. However, black holes don't go out simply evaporate. when they come to the minimum size that they can have, there is a internal pressure or the pressure of the vacuum, because of which after crossing that threshold, I mean, they have the event horizon, but they also have a minimum size horizon. Once they cross that, they simply explode. They cannot, the inward pressure cannot hold, and it evaporates or explode instantaneously, and the energy is released back into the universe. And that is what may have caused the extra matter that we see, the energy released after exploding of the initial black holes. So now scientists have debated, and they have agreed upon that when the universe formed, there were trillions, gazillions of the primordial black holes formed. These are microscopic black holes, and they are very small as a proton, but they have a mass equal to a moon. So they have still very strong power. They can pull things towards them. They can devour everything, but they are quite small, very difficult to detect. And since they are small, that means their time came before our solar system took birth. When we started coming to the world, the primordial, I mean, that's the assumption again, the primordial black holes would have been long gone. So now going back to the mystery. The mystery is, when the universe formed, there should be equal amount of matter and antimatter. Matter is, what we are made of, and antimatter is equally an opposite, matter. And when these two guys touch each other or come close to each other, they completely annihilate into a pure energy. So now we know that there was equal amount of matter and antimatter was formed in the initial first day of the universe, and then after some time the matter antimatter came close again and annihilated, and therefore there was a second bang. And we now know that the second bang really happened, and then it was still in the very early stages of the universe formation. However, if we take the if we consider the PBH, which is the primordial black hole, very, very tiny small black holes, if they were also formed before the annihilation happened, that means that portion of the matter was not part of the second bang, right? That means the second bang happened, the matter and antimatter collided and exploded with releasing a lot of energy into the space. However, the PBH were out of this explosion, and they evaporated, releasing a lot of matter. And that is where the mystery of why we do not see antimatter in the space. Whatever we see today using our very advanced telescope, we don't see anything made of antimatter. We see everything made of electrons, protons, neutrons, atoms. All of this is matter, and we don't see. Although we can make antimatter in the laboratory, but it does not last, because it's very difficult to hold the antimatter. It will mix with matter and annihilate in pure energy. Nothing is left. It's a matter antimatter explosion is the best explosion, best release of energy, because there are no byproducts out of that. Pure energy is released. So when we don't see antimatter in the universe naturally occurring, that gave rise to the mystery, and that is what we are discussing today. What happened to the antimatter, and why we exist at all? I mean, when matter and antimatter were produced, and then the second bang happened, then from where this matter remained in the universe, of which we are all made of, all the stars in the heavens, all the planets, all the living beings are made of matter. So scientists are now saying that the PBH may be responsible, because PBH would have survived the second bang, and then later they evaporated, releasing the energy, which then condensed into matter. And there was no question of antimatter, that energy condensing into antimatter. And that is why If this is true, well, it is very difficult to prove or disprove this, but if this is true, this explains why we exist, why the universe exists, why stars, why the physics exist, right? So this is something which I wanted to discuss in the universe section today. If you have any thoughts, any comments, please share those in the comment section below. Thanks for joining live, and I will catch Hello friends. The big question that we want to answer today is that the next industrial revolution happening in deep space, very profound question. While the world has been focused on the AI boom, a silent titan has been emerging in the labs. And this is known as Mars Plasma Thruster. Forget the silicon gold rush. The real treasure is being found in the vacuum of space. In today's video, we dive deep into the trillion-dollar engine and explore why plasma propulsion is no longer a science fiction, but the backbone of the next global economic era. From slashing the cost of satellites deployment to enabling sustainable deep space logistics, plasma tech is disrupting the global tech market and shifting the scales of geopolitical leadership. We break down the cosmic infrastructure that will define the 2030s and beyond. Let's go. While the world has been looking down at their phones, distracted by the latest AI chatbot and the fluctuating prices of the tech stock, a silent revolution has been brewing in the vacuum of space. We have spent the last decade obsessed with that cloud, but the next trillion-dollar industry isn't made of software. It's made of fire, or more accurately, plasma. In the history of humanity, every great economic gold rush was preceded by a breakthrough in transportation. In the 19th century, we had the steam engine, which opened up the frontiers. In the 20th century, we had the jet engine, which shrank the globe, and the entire earth is now known as a global village. But we stand here in 2026. We are facing a wall. Our current rocket technology, which is based on chemical propulsion, is essentially just a fancy way of blowing things up to push ourselves forward. It's heavy, it is inefficient, and it is the reason why the trip to Mars still feels like a suicide mission. Enter the plasma thruster, specifically the high power variant being designed for a Mars run. This isn't just a faster engine, it is a cornerstone of what we call the cosmic infrastructure. Today we are going to pull back the curtain on why this technology is the trillion-dollar engine, and why it's sparking a geopolitical and economic race that will redefine the global leadership for the next century. So friends, if you've reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. To understand the gold rush, we have to understand the tool. Most of us grew up watching the space shuttle or the Saturn V massive towers of fire. Those are the chemical rockets. They work by burning fuel to create a massive amount of thrust in a very short time. It's a great equipment for getting off the earth, but traveling through space, it's like trying to drive across a continent in a car that has 5,000 gallon tank, but only got 2 miles per gallon, right? So plasma thruster, often called the iron engines, are specifically the VASIMR, VASIMR, which stands for Variable Specific Impulse Magnetoplasma Rocket, operate on a completely different principle. Instead of burning fuel, they use electricity often from the solar panels or the small nuclear reactor, to turn a gas like argon or xenon into plasma. Plasma is the fourth state of matter. By using the powerful magnetic field, the engine accelerates this plasma to incredible speed up to 50 kilometers per second. Now, here is a magic trick. A plasma engine doesn't have the raw power to lift a house off the ground, but once you are in the vacuum of space, it is the ultimate marathon runner. It can stay on for months, constantly accelerating. While a chemical rocket is a sprint, the plasma engine is a bullet train. It can cut a trip to Mars from 9 months down to just 3 months. But for the tech market, the speed isn't even the most exciting part. It is the efficiency. Because of these engines require fraction of the propellant, we can finally stop sending fuel into space and start sending payload. And in business, payload is profit. So let's talk numbers. Why $1 trillion? Right now, the space economy is valued at roughly $600 billion. Most of that is satellite GPS, satellites, communication satellite, and weather satellites, etc. Also military satellites, but we are not counting those. But there is a bottleneck. Satellites are disposable. Once they run out of fuel to stay in their proper orbit, they become expensive space junk. Plasma thruster changed the math of space logistics. Imagine a fleet of space tugs, a small plasma powered vehicle that can move from orbit to orbit, refueling satellites, repairing them, or moving them to new positions. This isn't just a niche service, it is the birth of an orbital economy. When the cost of moving things in space drops by 90%, industries that were once impossible suddenly becomes inevitable. Think about asteroid mining. A single metallic asteroid can contain more platinum and gold than has ever been mined in human history. But you can't bring a 500-ton rock back to Earth using chemical rockets. The fuel cost would bankrupt you and before you left the atmosphere. With plasma propulsion, however, you have the slow and steady torque needed to move massive amount of raw material across the solar system. And this is a tech gold rush. The winner just won't be one who finds the gold. It will be the one who owns the infrastructure, the engines that make the trade routes possible. This brings us to the showdown. Who is going to own this infrastructure? Very big question. For decades, space are playground of the superpower, the US and Russia. But the plasma revolution has leveled the playing field and at the same time raised the stakes. We are seeing a three-way race. And which are the titans? NASA and the European Space Agency are betting big on nuclear-enabled plasma propulsion for 2030's Mars mission. Who are the disruptors? Private companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, smaller startups like Ad Astra are moving at Silicon Valley speed, aiming to commercialize these thrusters for satellite constellations. And who are the new contender? Nations like India and China are aggressively investing in electrical propulsion systems. India's ISRO, for example, has become a world leader in cost-effective satellite launches. If they can crack the code on high-efficiency plasma engines, they won't just be launching satellites for others. They will be managing a high ground of the global internet and defense network. Global leadership in the 21st century is no longer just about who has the most aircraft carriers. It's about who controls the cosmic toll booths. If a nation or a corporation owns the primary plasma transport network, they effectively control the flow of data, resources, and security for the entire planet. And this is why the Mars thruster isn't just a piece of hardware, it is a geopolitical chess piece. Now, you might be thinking this is all great for astronauts and billionaires, but what does it mean for guys like me and you, people living in Delhi, London, or New York? The tech gold rush always has a ripple effect. When we perfect the jet engines, we didn't just get faster vacations, we got global trade. overnight shipping, and a connected world. The development of mass-grade plasma thruster requires breakthrough in superconductors. Number one, to create the magnetic field needs to contain 1 million degrees of plasma. So we need very high magnetic field generators. Number two is the energy density. To power these engines, we are developing the most efficient solar and micronuclear systems ever conceived. Number three is the material science, creating hulls that can withstand the bombardment of deep space radiation. These technologies don't stay in space. The superconductor that powers a Mars thruster today will power a fusion reactor on Earth tomorrow. The energy system designed for plasma engines will eventually provide clean, limitless power for our cities. The trillion-dollar engine is a massive R&D laboratory for the problems we face on Earth today. We aren't going to Mars to escape the Earth. We are going to Mars to invent the tool that will save it. So this is very exciting. So friends, do let me know what you feel about it. And I will catch you again in the next one. Before I go, what about our affiliate partner? Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
For years, Anthropic Claude was known for as a conversational powerhouse on AI that could reason, that could assist, and also solve the complex tasks. But today, in 2026, the company has decided to redraw the boundaries of creativity. With the debut of Claude Design, Anthropic actually has stepped boldly into the visual arena, and where it offers the tool that transform and to the plain language into a polished and presentation, prototype and marketing visual. This is not just another AI feature, but it is reimagination of how the idea takes shape. No templates, no plain canvases, just words flowing into images. For entrepreneurs, for educators and the creators, Claude Design promises speed and accessibility. And for a design industry, it raises the questions about the originality and artistry and the role of human imagination in the era of machine learning, machine marketing, visual. So let's find out more about this.
Hello friends, Ferrari has officially entered the electric era with an all-new Ferrari Luce. In this video, we take an exclusive first look at the Maranello's first fully electric car, a $640,000 four-door super sedan that challenges everything we thought we knew about the electric car performance. Can a battery-powered Ferrari still delivers that legendary prancing horse soul? Is the $640,000 price tag justified? We analyze how the Luce compares to the Puro Sangu and other luxury EVs, and why the Ferrari's move to electric is far more calculated than just chasing trends. Whether you are a die-hard V12 pursuit or an EV enthusiast, this is the most important Ferrari launch of the decade. Let's go and discuss this further. For decades, the name Ferrari has been the synonym with one thing: the raw scream of the combustion engine. From the legendary V12 to the high-strung V8s, Maranello defined the supercar felt like. You know what it really means to have a supercar. Therefore, people used to say that I own a Safari. But today, the history book has been rewritten. Ferrari has officially unveiled the Luce, their first ever fully electric vehicle. It's a bold $640,000 statement that they aren't just joining the EV race, they intend to lead it. But can a battery-powered car truly capture the prancing horse soul? Today we are breaking down everything you need to know about the most controversial, technologically advanced and expensive car Ferrari has ever produced. So friends, if you reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's move ahead. Let's get straight to the numbers because they are staggering. The Luce is built on a dedicated EV platform housing a 122 kilowatt hour battery pack. This isn't just an engine swap. This is a ground up engineering. It features 4 electric motors, one for every wheel, producing a combined 1050 horsepower, 1000 horsepower. That's enough to propel this 5-seat Grand Tourer from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 2.5 seconds. To put that in perspective, it is faster than V12 powered by Puro Sangue. The drive system is rear biased for that classic Ferrari handling feel, with the rear motors capable of putting down 843 horsepower on their own. And for those wondering about the range, it's rated for about 530 kilometers on a single charge. It's clearly built to be usable GT, not just a track toy. The biggest hurdle for an electric sports car is emotion. Without the roar of V12, where is the passion? Ferrari spent 5 years with 40,000 kilometers of testing to answer this question. Instead of playing a synthetic fake engine noise through speakers, Luce use an innovative amplified hum. They place a sensor on the rear axle to capture the actual mechanical vibration of the motor, which are then processed and amplified. It's meant to be an honest mechanical feedback loop that keeps the driver connected to the machine. It's not trying to be a gas engine, it is trying to be the most exciting electric car engine possible. So you might notice the design looks different, and therefore that's because Ferrari collaborated with love from the design firm co-founded by former Apple design chief John Ive. The Luce abandons the classic mid-engine proportion we are used to. It's a 4-door 5-seat layout with a long wheelbase and a sloping roofline. Up front, you get a clean, fully full width lightning signature and an illuminated badge instead of a grille. The rear, however, keeps the classic 4 round taillight and aesthetic hidden behind a sleek black panel. It is minimalist, aerodynamic, and depending on who you ask, either a masterpiece of modern design or a massive departure from tradition. let's step inside the the Apple designed or Apple influenced, and therefore when you get in, it is undeniable. The cabin is minimalist, focusing on 12.5-inch OLED display that mimics analog dials. There is always a clever 10-inch infotainment screen that moves, so both the drivers and passenger can adjust it. Crucially, they have kept a physical toggle for key control, and for the first time ever, you can seat 5 people comfortably in a Ferrari. The rear doors are rear hinged, making accessible incredibly easy. A touch of the luxury that provides this car is meant to be driven every day. So the big question is it worth $640,000? The car isn't just about the specs, it's about Ferrari proving it can survive the electric transition without losing its prestige. It's the second most expensive car in their lineup, trailing only to the Extreme F80. And delivery start this autumn in Europe, while we'll have to wait until spring 2027 to see them on other continents, starting with America and rest of the world. Whether the Luce becomes a future classic or a polarizing experiment, one thing is certain: Ferrari has officially left the age of gasoline behind. And friends, therefore, what do you think? Has Ferrari succeeded, or is this a step too far? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the changing world of supercars. And friends, I will see you again very soon in the next one. Before I go, I will have to say a few words about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
In the age of antibiotic resistance, where the once curable infection now defies machine's best weapon, a new hero emerges, not from the pharmacy, but from the world of nanotechnology. Imagine a sheet so thin it's only 1 atom thick, yet sharper than any blade nature has ever forged. This is a graphene oxide, a carbon lattice that slices through the deadly bacteria while leaving human cells untouched. It does not just fight superbug, it rewrites the rule of survival, turning physics into medicine and proving that sometimes the smallest structure can wage the bigger wars. So in the relentless battle between medicine and microbes, humanity faces formidable foe. Antibiotic resistance bacteria, often called as superbug, and these pathogens actually hardened by decades of overuse and misuse of antibiotics now evade the treatment that once subdued them with ease. So hospitals worldwide reports infection that no longer respond to conventional drug, raises the specter of post-antibiotic era, where minor wound or a routine surgery could again become deadly. So, against this backdrop, scientists have turned to an unlikely ally, and which is graphene oxide, a material born out not out in biology but in the lab of nanotechnology. So graphene is a single layer of carbon atom arranged in a honeycomb lattice, and has been hailed as a wonder material for its strength, conductivity, versatility, and there are other aspect which is definitely associated with that. When oxided and its gain chemical group that makes its biological active. So researchers discovered that graphene oxide sheet interacts with the bacterial membranes in a way that is both subtle and devastating. So while microscopic blade, they pierce and disrupts the lipid wall of harmful bacteria, causing them to leak or die. Yet, remarkably, human cell remains unharmed. And the selectivity lies in the differences between bacterial and mammalian membranes, and this is very architectural of life, and that becomes the shield that protects us. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and which language you are watching this video. So this will remind us and determine the reach of our channel. So this discovery is more than a lab curiosity. So it represents a paradigm shift in antimicrobial strategy. So unlike antibiotic, which targets specific biochemical pathway and can be actually outmaneuvered by mutations, graphene oxide attacks the physical integrity of bacteria. So resistance is in this way is far harder to evolve. A bacterium cannot easily re-engineer its membranes to withstand the sharp edges of graphene sheet without compromising its own survival. So thus graphene oxide offers a weapon that sidesteps the evolutionary arm race that has actually plugged into antibiotic development. So the implication ripples outward. Imagine hospital surfaces coated with graphene oxide film, silently neutralizing a pathogen before they spread. So picture would be like dressing infused with graphene oxide, protecting patients from infection without the need for systematic drug. So considering all this, consider the water purification system where graphene oxide eliminates the harmful microbes while leaving beneficial one untouched. So each application transform the material from a marvel of physics into a guardian of health. So yet, as with all scientific breakthroughs, the caution temper is excitement. And the researchers must ensure that the long-term exposure to graphene oxide does not produce unforeseen effect in human tissues or ecosystem. So balance between efficiency and safety must be carefully measured. Moreover, the scaling production of graphene oxide to industrial level poses challenges in cost and sustainability. Promise is immense, but realization also requires meticulous engineering and ethical foresight. So philosophically, the rise of graphene oxide as a microbial slayer underscores a deeper truth. Solution of biological crisis may emerge from realm far beyond biology. A material once prized for electronics now stands at the frontier of medicine. So this coverage of disciplines, physics like chemistry and microbiology illustrates the interconnectedness of human knowledge. So, in the lattice of carbon atoms, we glimpse not just strength and conductivity, but a new chapter in the story of survival. As superbug continues to threaten the modern medicine, graphene oxide offers hope that the tide can be turned. And it is not a kind of which is very powerful, but a powerful addition to our arsenal of medicines, of safeguarding the health. In its sharp edges and selective touches, we find a reminder that the innovation often lies at the boundaries of field waiting to be discovered. The fight against the superbug is far from over, but with graphene oxide, humanity may have found a material ally as a resilient and adaptable as life itself. So, in this war against the antibiotic resistance, graphene oxides stand as a chemical cure, but as also a material revolution. Its atom thin blade reminds us that the innovation often lies at the crossroad of disciplines, where physics meets medicines and nanotechnology becomes the shield for the life. The challenge ahead is too actually hard but promising. Promise with the responsibility and scaling production, ensuring safety and weaving it into the fabric of healthcare. Definitely it is there, but still require a sharper understanding and experiment. If the success of the graphene oxide may mark the dawn of new era where the superbug lose their grip, the humanity reclaim its edge. So this is for today. We have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. We will request you to like and subscribe our channel. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सबका स्वागत है। और आज बुधवार का दिन है। आज का दिन गणेश भगवान के लिए समर्पित होता है। आप सबको पता है इस बारे में। तो हम अपना दिन शुरू करेंगे भगवान की पूजा करके। तो गणेश जी का मंत्र उच्चारण करेंगे और हर रोज की तरह हम इस काउंटर का इस्तेमाल करेंगे। आपको पता ही है काउंटर, इसमें नंबर्स, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक नंबर्स आ जाते हैं, तो ये हमें काफ़ी सहायता करता है अपने गिनती करने में। लेकिन आप किसी भी तरीके से जो आपको कंफर्टेबल हो, आप माला का इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं और अपनी उंगलियों पे भी गिन सकते हैं, क्योंकि सिर्फ 11 बार ही करना है। तो आराम से आप जैसे भी करना चाहें कर सकते हैं। तो चलिए हाथ जोड़ के हम भगवान का ध्यान करते हैं और एक छोटा सा मंत्र 11 दफ़ा हम उसका उच्चारण करेंगे। चलिए शुरू करते हैं। ओम गम गणपते नमः। 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 ओम गणपते नमः। ओम गम गणपते नमः। ओम गम गणपते नमः। ओम गम गणपते नमः। ओम गण गणपते नमः। तो हमारा भगवान की स्तुति आप समाप्त हुई। हमारा आज का जो हम दिन शुरू करना चाहते हैं वो हम अच्छी तरह स्टार्ट करें, यही हमारी प्रार्थना है। आपका भी दिन अच्छी तरह बीते, इस कामना के साथ हम इस वीडियो को बंद करते हैं। जल्दी ही मिलते हैं दूसरे वीडियो में, कहीं मत जाइएगा। Hello, friends, and Namaskaram. Let me ask you, is your leadership strategy built to last, or is it just surviving the current quarter? This is a very difficult question. If you know the answer, you can share it in the comments below. Otherwise, in this video, we will explore a transformative lesson for modern CEOs from Bhagavad Gita. While the business landscape is defined by the volatility, rapid disruption, and endless cycle of creative destruction, this ancient wisdom offers a profound perspective on resilience and vision. Let's go. If you are a CEO today, you are likely operating in a state of perpetual crisis, whether it's a market disruption, rapid technological shifts, or the relentless pressure of quarterly results. It feels like the body of your business is constantly under threat. But what if I told you that the most successful long-term leaders in history, the one whose impact span generations, has have a secret, and it's like sharing a secret in this video. It's not a new management framework or better AI tool. It's a 5,000-year-old perspective on reality. Today, we're looking at CEO's immortal strategy derived from one of the most powerful verses in Bhagavad Gita, which is chapter 2, verse 20. So, friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Now, let's look at the verse. The verse starts and the quote begins, "There is no birth or death for the soul, nor does it ever cease to be. It is birthless, ageless, eternal, without a beginning or an end. Even with the destruction of the body, the soul is not destroyed." And the quote close. In a business context, what is the body and what is the soul? The body is your current product line, your quarterly revenue, your office space, even your current job title. These are temporary. They shift, they rise, and inevitably they undergo changes or destruction. What is the soul? This is your company's core purpose, its mission, and your fundamental vision. These are the aspects of your business that are ageless and eternal. The mistakes many CEO makes is attaching their entire identity and their entire strategic focus to the body while ignoring the soul. So how does a CEO operationalize this? How do you apply immortal thinking to the finite quarterly cycle? There are a few things that you need to do. First, stop managing the decay. When you focus purely on the body of your business, the metrics that fluctuate, you live in a state of fear. You fear losing market share. You fear the next innovation that might make your product obsolete. But if your strategy is rooted in your core purpose, you stop fearing death. You start disrupting, and you think that is not the end. But as shedding of the old to the make way for the new, that is what you do as a if you are not fearful, right? You're not holding on to things. Second, decoupling identity from the outcome. The most effective leader is like obsessed, observed, and those who can sit in the board meeting, face a disaster revenue report, and remain completely unshaken. Why? Because they know that a bad quarter is not the death sentence for their mission. They view their leadership as a process of service, not just just a game of numbers, etc. Third, think in eternity cycle. If this company were to disappear tomorrow, what value would remain? What is the soul of your brand? When you answer that your daily decision changes, you stop chasing short-term growth at any cost and start building a legacy that truly outlasts your tenure. When you realize that your purpose is birthless and ageless, the stress of the current situation changes from heavy burden into strategic challenge. You are no longer fighting for survival, you are executing a vision. This isn't about being passive or ignoring the bottom line, it's about being unshakable. An immortal strategy means you're playing a game that no one can force you to quit. It transforms your leadership style from reactive management to proactive creation. So, as you head back into your week, today is Monday, right? I want you to ask yourself one question. Are you currently over invested in the body of your business, or are you nurturing its soul? The business might face challenges, the market might change, but if you lead with this eternal perspective, your vision remains indestructible. If this resonates with you, we can discuss it further if you have any specific question. What is the soul of your business? How do you protect it during the hard times? Please drop a comment below and let's keep this conversation going. And I look forward to receiving your thoughts. Thanks for joining live. Thanks for watching. And remember, lead with purpose, think with eternity, and stay unshakable. See you in the next one. Hello friends, welcome to this executive lesson, and the big question that we have on our mind today which we want to address is, can detachment actually lead to better result in business? This is a very profound question, and that is why in today's high pressure corporate world, CEOs are often told that the end justifies the means. Alright, so there is nothing about detachment, but the ancient wisdom, which is Bhagavad Gita, talks about detachment all the time. They are saying that if you shift your focus from the result to your nishkam karma, basically undivided attention to your work, that will give you better result, and therefore this should be your strategy. And this will also take away your high pressure, whereas you are not focused about result, but you are actually focused about the work, which is the worship in this case. So friends, stick around because this is going to be very interesting. It is going to be useful for people in the leadership position, also for anybody who want to follow Bhagavad Gita. So friends, I will start the discussion now. We live in an era of hyper result. Every quarter, every week, every minute is tracked. As a leader, you value often reduced to a single metric, which is the bottom line. But here is the irony. The more we obsess over the finish line, more likely that we are, stumble before we get there. We are seeing record level of burnout, decision fatigue, and, quite quitting at the executive level. What if I told you that 7,000 years ago, a text which was written or recited holds the secret to modern high performance? Today we are looking at the Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 verse 4. Why letting go is actually the most strategic move a CEO can make. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Krishna explains the state of yoga. Not the physical pastures as we see today, but a state of perfect mental equilibrium and the union with one purpose. And the verse says, quote starts, a person is said to have attained yoga when they have no desire for sense gratification and not attached to the fruits of their action, and have renounced all material desires. Quote close. To a modern business mind, this sounds impossible. No desire for results, no attachment to fruits. In business, the fruits are the profit, the market share, the exit strategy, etc. etc. But let's look closer. Bhagwan Krishna isn't saying don't work. He's saying work without being enslaved by the outcome. What does the attachment to the result hurt a CEO? Well, the anxiety cloud your judgment. So when you are terrified of a bad quarter, your brain shifts into survival mode. You stop thinking long term and start making fear based decisions. You can also generate tunnel vision. You become so focused on the goal that you miss the signals in the market. You stop innovating because you are too busy defending a specific outcome. You can also get into a hedonic treadmill. If your happiness depends on the result, you are never satisfied. You hit the target and you feel a spark of joy for 5 minutes and then immediately start stressing about the next quarter. This is the recipe of an executive burnout. So what does the attaining yoga looks like in a boardroom? It's what the modern psychologists call the flow state. When you renounce the desire for the fruits, you redirect all that wasted worry energy into a process. Imagine a CEO who walks into a merger negotiations, and if they are attached to the result, they are needy, nervous, and easily manipulated. But if they are focused only on performing their duty perfectly, presenting the facts, staying ethical, and listening deeply, they will remain untouchable. This is the result paradox. By not obsessing over the outcome, you actually increase the quality of your work, which mathematically makes a positive outcome more likely. So, how do you apply Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, verse 4 tomorrow morning? Well, step 1, define the effort, not just the goal. Instead of just setting a sales target, set a quality of interaction target. Measure how well you listened and how clearly you communicated and how much value you provided. Step number 2, practice strategic detachment. During high stake meetings, remind yourself, I have control over my actions, but I do not have control over the final response of others. This lowers your anxiety and raises your IQ. Step 3, audit your sense gratification. Are you making this move for the growth of the company, or are your own ego or sense gratification is driving this? Real leadership begins where the ego ends. So chapter 6 verse 4 isn't about being passive, it's about being powerful, present. When you stop chasing the shadow of the result, you finally stand in the light of your own potential. You become a leader who is stable in success and resilient in failure. And that is the yoga Krishna speaks of. And it is the ultimate competitive advantage in the 21st century. Don't you think so? So next time you feel the pressure of the bottom line closing in, remember, focus on the work, let go of the fruits, and the result will take care of themselves. So friends, if you have any question, please do not hesitate to send it across. Thanks for watching. If this ancient perspective helped you today, share it with your colleagues who needed to hear it. And friends, I will see you in the next one. But before that, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, welcome to the business section of Akulmach Live. We have all heard about the nuclear breakthrough India just reported. However, the big question today is India about to become the world's nuclear energy hub? Why we are saying this? Because recently Government of India did some changes, policy changes, and because of that, the world over, all the entrepreneurs, all the business investors are now eyeing towards investing in India's nuclear program, which is basically for energy generation. Why it is different? Because this is based on thorium and not on uranium, because uranium there is a lot of risk and people will say, okay, now if you are using uranium you may be having a plan for for some sort of nuclear weapon development. But here in this case thorium, and thorium is abundant in India. We don't have to basically buy
uranium from other countries. Thorium is readily available in India, and the beauty here is that for thorium reactor you don't need to basically build very large reactor, and therefore India has decided to build these small reactors. And recently what we are discussing today is that the FDI has been allowed in these small reactors, and because of that lot of investors are now coming through the FDI route, trying to invest in these small thorium reactors. And they have also passed, the Indian government, Indian Parliament has also passed something called Shanti Act. Now for those who understand Hindi, Shanti basically means peace. So they have passed a Shanti Act, which is a metaphor for Peace Act, which allow investor to invest in the thorium program, which is now started by India. So friends, stick around in this video because we are going to discuss this in detail.
For decades, the Indian nuclear sector was a forbidden fortress. It was state-run, shielded from private players, and largely close to the global capital. But in 2025, everything changed. The Atomic Energy Commission (AEC) just cleared a policy that effectively ends the nuclear isolation era by allowing up to 49% foreign direct investment, also known as FDI, in small modular reactor (SMRs). India has fired, starting a pistol for a multi-billion-dollar race. Why now? Well, the world is hungry for carbon-free base load power, and India has world's most ambitious energy roadmap. We aren't just talking about a few power plants. We're talking about a $200 billion shift. Today, we are breaking down the global investor from the US, France, and Russia are suddenly lining up at the India's door. So, friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Let's talk technology. Traditional nuclear plants are like massive cruise ships. They take 15 years to build and cost 10 billion or more. If one thing goes wrong, the whole project stalls. Small modular reactors, or the SMRs, are the speedboats and speedboats of the nuclear world. These are the reactors that produce between 77 megawatts and 300 megawatts of power. They are built in factories on the assembly lines and shipped to the site. India has introduced its own version, the Bharat Small Reactor, which is acronym for BSR. Why investors love them? They offer lower entry price. Instead of risking $10 billion, a private company can partner with the Nuclear Power Corporation of India to build a modular unit for a fraction of the cost. So it has speed of delivery. Definitely, you can actually go from groundbreaking to grid connected in about 5 years. For an investor, faster construction means a faster return on investment. The real magic happened in the boardroom. The Indian government passed the Shanti Act of 2025. This wasn't just another law, it was a legal bridge. Before this, foreign companies were terrified of Indian civil liability laws. If there was an accident, the supplier could be sued into bankruptcy. The new policy provider, in fact, clears a framework for risk sharing between Indian state and the foreign investor. By allowing 49% FDI, India is saying, we want your tech and we want your cash, but we will keep the keys to the security of the facility. Therefore, the balance of 51% will be state controlled and 49% will be private investment. And that is why this is a sweet spot. And that has a global giant like Holtec International, GE, Hitachi dusting off their blueprints for Indian soil. The investment isn't just about technology, it's about demand. Indian economy is booming, and definitely it's also growing by leaps and bounds. and the rest of the world can only dream of at that kind of speed India is moving forward. We are building gigafactories for EVs, massive data centers for AI, and huge green hydrogen hubs. All these things have one thing in common: India needs 24 by 7 power. Solar and wind are great, but they don't work when the sun goes down and the wind stops, right? So SMRs are being pitched as the captive power sources. Imagine massive steel plants in Odisha or a tech park in Bengaluru having its own dedicated SMR right next door. Investors see this industrial demand as the guaranteed revenue stream. It is not just selling power to the grid, it is powering the future of the global manufacturing. Now let's talk about the long game. India has the world's largest reserve of thorium, believe it or not. The traditional reactors runs on uranium, which India has to import. But thorium, we have enough of it in our beaches to power the country for centuries. And what is the catch here? There's always a catch, right? You cannot just put thorium in a standard reactor. You need a breeder process. So SMRs are perfect test bed for this. By inviting FDIs into SMRs, India is accelerating its three-stage nuclear program. The global investors provide capital today for uranium-based SMRs are essentially helping build the infrastructure that will eventually run on thorium. It's a transition that could make India the OPEC of the 22nd century. So why are the global investors eyeing India at this point in time? It is a perfect storm of the clear policy, which is based on FDI, proven demand, which is the industrial growth, and the futuristic tech, which is based on thorium. India's goal is to hit 100 gigawatt of nuclear power by 2047. It's a massive mountain to climb, but for the first time, India isn't climbing it alone. With global capital and private innovation now in the mix, the atomic age of India hasn't just arrived. It is actually going to get onto overdrive. So friends, what do you think? Is opening nuclear power to foreign investment is a master stroke for energy independence or a risky move? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the tech and policy that is shaping India's future. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you again in the next one. Before I leave, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Welcome friends. Recently Artemis 2 has been a very successful trip to moon, created many landmarks, but one of the things that we can now imagine in future, not so far away but very near future, is the settlement, humanity settlement. But then how it will happen? There are so many challenges. One of the challenge is related to habitat, and therefore this company, a startup in USA, they are going to basically talk about the new type of habitat structure. They are going to convert the moon into a real habitable real estate, when the humans travel to moon and successfully land on the moon, etc. So the big question is the future on of humanity on the moon is inflatable. Remember this word inflatable, because this company, which is known as Max Space, they are actually talking about inflatable habitat which can reach moon, and then can be inflated, and then they are readily available. No digging required, no construction, no 3D printing, none of those things. These are ready to build housing, and as soon as the astronaut arrive there, the houses will be ready. So this is a game changer, and this is very exciting. So in today's video we are going to discuss how this is going to happen, what are the roadblocks, what are the opportunities, and how this Max Space is changing the landscape, especially for the human settlement, not only on moon but in future outside in other worlds. So stick around friends, because this is going to be very, very interesting video.
Imagine you're moving into a new apartment, but there is a catch. You have to carry every single piece of furniture, the walls, the plumbing, and the oxygen system on your back while climbing a mountain. That is essentially the challenge of building a base on the moon. For decades, the dream of lunar colony has been held back by one brutal reality, which is the weight. In the space industry, mass is money. Every extra kilogram of steel or aluminum you send to lunar surface cost a fortune in rocket fuel. Because of this, most proposed moon bases have been small, cramped, and incredibly difficult to scale. But that's about to change now. A Florida-based startup called Max Space has just unveiled a design that sounds like something out of a science fiction novel, a pop-up habitat. They aren't just building rooms, they are building what they call the scalable real estate for the moon. And if they succeed, the era of flags and footprints is over, and the era of lunar cities is going to begin. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. So why is the Max Space important? They recently emerged from the stealth with a bold claim. They can provide most habitable volume for the lowest launch mass in history. In April 2026, the company unveiled a subscale version of their expandable habitat, proving that this isn't just a digital render, it's a physical hardware. Led by the co-founder Salim Mia and Aaron Kemmer, Max Space is leveraging over 30 years of material science knowledge and what they call the practical readiness of the materials to solve the hardest problem in lunar exploration. The core idea is very simple. Instead of sending a rigid metal tube that is mostly empty space, you send a highly compressed, ultra strong fabric envelope. One of it hits the lunar surface, it pops up and expanding to 20 times its original stored volume. Think about that. One single SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, a workhorse of the modern space flight, could theoretically launch a fully equipped habitat with 350 cubic meters of volume. To put that in perspective, that's about a third of the entire habitable volume of the International Space Station, delivered in a single relatively cheap launch. Now, I know what you're thinking. Inflatable. on the moon. Well, isn't that just a giant balloon waiting to pop? It's a very fair question. The lunar environment is a nightmare. Temperatures swing between 107 degrees in the sun to minus 153 in the shade. There is no atmosphere to stop micrometeorites, and radiation from solar flare can be lethal. But Max Space design isn't a balloon. It's an engineering marvel made of interwoven layer of advanced materials like Kevlar and specialized polymer bladders. Why this is actually better than metal? There are several reasons, starting with the debris protection. This is the first reason. Rigid metal hull can actually shatter or spall when hit by high speed space dust. Expandable layer absorbs the disperse the impact energy much like a bulletproof vest. Second is the radiation shielding. Because these habitats are so large, once expanded, they can be outfitted with internal shieldings or even covered with lunar regolith, which is the moon soil or moon dirt, whatever you want to call it, and that will create a massive radiation proof bunker. Number 3 is the mass to volume ratio. In a rigid module, the walls have to be thick enough to handle launch vibration and internal pressures. With an expandable, the walls are optimized for the pressure of the space, making them lighter and stronger per square inch. The company calls this scalable real estate because it allows for a modular approach. You don't just build one room, you link them together. You can have a pop-up lab, a pop-up greenhouse, and pop-up sleeping quarters, all connected by a pressurized tunnel. This news couldn't come at a better time. We are currently in the middle of Artemis era. As of April 2026, Artemis 2 has successfully returned from its lunar flyby, marking the first humans to have seen the far side of moon with their own eyes since 1972. NASA is now laser focused on Artemis 4 and Artemis 5, which are targeted for 2028. Artemis 5 is going to be very interesting because it's specifically where the moon base phase begins. NASA recently announced they are moving away from the Lunar Gateway space station concept in favor of a permanent surface infrastructure. They want to stay on the surface of the moon. And this is where the Max Space and the Voyager Technologies partnership comes in reality and becomes more real. The company behind the Star Lab, in fact, the Voyager, you may be knowing, is the company behind this Star Lab space station, and has made a multi-million-dollar investment in Max Space to ensure this tech is ready for the Artemis mission. Now, what is the goal? By the late 2020s, instead of astronauts living out of their lander for a week, they will move into these Max Space habitat for months at a time. This tech turns a visit into a colony. So that is a very clear goal. What is the next step now? Max Space isn't going straight to the moon. First, they have to prove it their system works in vacuum of Earth's orbit. Their first flight, known as the mission Evolution, is scheduled for 2027 as a ride share on a Falcon 9. This will be a smaller prototype to validate the deployment sequence and structural integrity. If that works, the sky, or rather the lunar South Pole, is the limit. They are already designing their Thunderbird station, a commercial outpost that could serve as a lunar hotel or a research hub. For 60 years, we have thought about space station, the moon bases, as cold metallic cylinders, but the future of human life beyond Earth might be softer, lighter, and much, much bigger. Max Space is betting that the key to cosmos isn't building bigger rockets, but building smarter houses. If they are right, the first pop-up colony on the moon won't just be a scientific outpost. It will be the first real piece of lunar real estate in human history. Now, The question is, if you could book a room in a pop-up lunar hotel in 2030, would you go to moon? I will like to know your answer. So friends, thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated on the race to build the first moon base, hit that subscribe button and check out our other videos on Artemis program. Before I go, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello everyone. I just wanted to take a moment to say a huge heartfelt thank you for all the wonderful birthday messages, calls and thoughtful wishes I received. Honestly, reading and hearing from so many of you made my day truly special. It's often said that birthdays are just another day, but when you receive that outpouring of affection, it's a powerful reminder of the incredible network of people who care about you. It really does make a difference. Thank you for making my day so special and making me feel so celebrated. And that brings me to why I think the simple act of wishing someone well is so important. Whether it's for their birthday or any other occasion, a wish isn't just words. It's a small intentional moment of connection. It tells someone, I'm thinking of you and I value you. In our busy lives, these little gestures of kindness and recognitions are vital. They strengthen our bond, lift our spirits, and remind us that we weren't alone. So let's keep the momentum going. Let us continue to be generous with our appreciation and well wishes, not just for me, but for everyone. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart.
A new eye is about to open upon the universe. An eye so wide it will sweep the heavens like no telescope before. The Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope is not just about any other machine. It is a cartographer of the cosmos poised to chart 1 lakh unseen world and the rogue wanderers that drift starless through the dark. With mirror that rivals Hubble and the field of view 100 times greater, Roman will transform the night sky into a living atlas. Each planet a pin of possibility, each rogue world a story untold. This is not merely a science, it is exploration on the scale that redefines imagination. Romans gaze still stitch together galaxies, measure the invisible hand of dark energies, and reveal that universe is not sparse but teeming, restless, alive. And its sweep, humanity will find not only few planets, but new questions, new frontiers, and perhaps new homes. So let's find out more. The Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope is poised to become one of the NASA's most ambitious instruments, a cenital designed to widen humanity's cosmic horizon. Unlike telescope that focus narrowly on a distinct galaxies or nearby stars. Roman's mission is panoramic and to sweep the sky with unprecedented breadth and cataloging world that drift untethered planets and orbit sun far beyond our reach. This is a wide view which allow astronomers to detect up to 1 lakh new planets, a staggering expansion of known cosmic sensors. Among these will be rogue world, planet that wander the galaxies without a parent star, drifting like celestial nomads through the dark. Each discovery will not only add to the tally of the world but also deepens the mystery of planetary formation, migration, and survival in the vastness of space. Roma's design is marriage of precision and scale. Equipped with a 2.4-meter mirror comparable to Hubble's but paired with the advanced detector. It can capture image covering areas of sky 100 times larger than Hubble's field of view. This means the entire star field, galactical cluster, and planetary nurseries will be revealed in a detail and offering astronomers a tapestry of cosmic evolution. Beyond planet, Roman will probe the dark energies that accelerate the universe expansion, map our understanding of cosmic history. Yet its planetary catalogue may prove the most transformative, a reminder that the universe is not sparse but teeming with the world, each potential stage of chemistry, climate, and perhaps even life. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. That will help us to determine the reach of our channel. Now let's continue with our discussion. In essence, the Nancy Grace Roman telescope is not just a machine. It is a promise that night sky hold far more than we have yet imagined, and that with each sweep of its gaze, humanity will step closer to answering the timeless question. What is that? Are we alone? Or are we one among countless travelers in universe of the world? So Roman is more than a machine, it is a storyteller of cosmos. Each discovery will be verse in the grand narratives of creation, migration, and survival, that again reminding us that the universe is not a silent void but a living expanse teeming with the world. So its mission is both scientific and poetic. To measure the invisible force of dark energy, to map galaxies like constellations of history, and to show us that the night sky is richer than our imagination dares. As Roman prepare to open its gaze, it carries with it the hope that somewhere among these countless worlds lies the answer of our most enduring question. So, in a sweep of Roman's vision, the universe will no longer be a distant mystery, but a vast, untold atlas of world. Each one a reminder that the cosmos is alive, infinite, and waiting to be known. So, we have come to the end of this live streaming on this interesting topic. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe our channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hello friends, welcome to this high-level executive briefing. We explore the profound leadership wisdom found in Bhagavad Gita. While the modern corporate culture often drives leaders towards external validation and endless doing within quotes, this ancient verse reveals that the most effective leadership comes from a state of internal being. The inside out executive breaks down how the concept of the yogi, one who is happy within and flooded with self enlightenment, translate directly to the modern C suite. Learn how to translate and transition from reactive management to proactive sovereignty. Let us explore this thought further. Welcome once again. We live in an era of the extreme leadership. We are taught that more we do, more we achieve. We track KPIs, market share, and quarterly growth. But there is a paradox at the top. Many executives have reached the pinnacle of the material success while they feel more hollow than when they started. Why is it that more we gain on the outside, the more we feel we are losing on the inside? Today we are looking for the answers in a 7,000-year-old text. We are exploring Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 verse 24. It offers a blueprint of what I call the inside out executive. Let's look at the verse itself, and Bhagwan Krishna says, and the quote starts, a yogi is happy within. He sees God within himself. He is flooded with self-enlightenment. He attains the liberation from material existence and unite with the divine. And the quote close. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this live stream. This will help us determine our reach. Alright, let's proceed further. To the modern CEO, words like yogi or divine might feel distant. But let's translate this into a language of the leadership. A yogi is simply a person of the perfected discipline. Happy within himself means you are emotional, in your emotional state is no longer a hostage to the stock market or a boardroom meeting. Flooded with self-enlightenment is what we now call high-level intuition and clarity. This verse isn't about retiring to a cave. It's about becoming an unshakable in the boardroom. Most leaders are outside in. If the company performs, they are happy. If the media criticize them, they are miserable. Their internal world is a mirror of their external environment. The inside-out executive flips the script. Verse 5.24 tells us that the source of joy must be internal. When you are happy within, you lead from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. You aren't making decisions because you are afraid of losing your status. You are making them because they are the right thing to do. This is where the self-enlightenment comes in. When the noise of ego and anxiety is silenced, you gain the quiet mind. In that quiet, you see the God within, or in professional terms, you access your highest intelligence. Now let's talk about the most provocative word in this verse, liberation. In the Gita, this is the moksha, which is freedom from cycle of birth and death. For an executive, this is freedom from the material grind. Think about it. How much of your stress comes from things you cannot control? The economy, the competition, the global supply chain. Liberation means you are no longer a slave to these outcomes. You perform your dharma, which is your duty, with 100% intensity, but your soul isn't crushed if the result fluctuate. Ironically, this detachment makes you more powerful. A leader who doesn't need a specific outcome to feel whole is the most dangerous person in a negotiation. You have nothing to lose because your fulfillment is already locked in internal space. So how do we apply this tomorrow morning, right? First, the morning audit. Before you check your emails, which is coming from outside, check your inside. Spend 5 minutes in silence, find that internal happiness before the world try to give you its version of it. All right. Number 2, intellectual detachment. During a crisis, ask yourself, is my happiness based on solving this, or is my happiness constant while I solve this? Right? Number 3 is lead by light. So verse 5.24 mentioned about flooded with light. Be the leader who brings clarity to the room, not heat. If you are enlightened within, you illuminate the path for everyone else. The verse ends by saying the yogi unite with the divine. In leadership, this is the union of the purpose and action. When your internal state matches your external impact, you aren't just working anymore, you are fulfilling your mission. So don't just lead a company, lead yourself first. Be the inside out executive. And friends, we have come to the end. Thanks for joining live. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send it across. Before we end this section, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, did you know that Oracle just secured a massive $300 million windfall and the cloud computing landscape will never be the same? In this video, we break down how Larry Ellison's tech giant pulled off this incredible financial feat and what it means for the escalating cloud wars against the giants like AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. As the enterprise demand for AI integrated cloud infrastructure skyrockets, Oracle positions itself as a dominant force. We will analyze the specific deals that led to this jackpot, the impact on Oracle stock, and why the analysts are shifting their outlook on the company's long-term growth. Let's go and explore this further. For decades, the cloud wars had a predictable hierarchy. Amazon, Microsoft, and Google sat on the throne while everyone else fought, for the crumbs. But in late 2025 and moving into 2026, the script has been flipping. In fact, it has flipped completely now. Oracle, the company your dad knew for databases, just hit another 300 billion jackpot. This isn't just a win, it's a tectonic shift. We are talking about a massive multi-year deal with OpenAI that has sent Oracle's backlog or remaining performance obligations soaring to an eye-watering $553 billion. Today we are diving into the new Oracle. How did Larry Ellison turns a legacy software company into the backbone of the AI revolution? Is this 300 billion windfall a guaranteed victory, or is Oracle building a house of cards on the back of a single customer? So friends, before we move forward, and if you've reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this live stream. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's break it down. To understand the jackpot, we have to look at the numbers. The headline is $300 billion. 5-year contract with OpenAI. To put that in perspective, that's roughly 60 billion in revenue per year from just one client. Why would OpenAI, a company born in Microsoft Azure's cloud, move a massive chunk of its workload to Oracle? The answer is simple: capacity and power. OpenAI's hunger for compute is insatiable. They need electricity and lots of it. This deal involves 4.5 gigawatts of power capacity. That's enough to power 4 million homes. Oracle isn't just renting out existing space, they are building massive new AI factories under a project often referred to as Stargate. We are seeing brand new data centers, campuses in Texas and Ohio, packed with hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs, Oracle's secret weapon. Their infrastructure was built later than AWS and Azure. That sounds like a disadvantage, but it actually means their Gen 2 cloud was designed specifically for high performance workload and modern databases, the exact environment AI needs to thrive. But building a 300 billion cloud isn't easy. You cannot just plug 400,000 GPUs into a wall socket. The traditional power grid cannot handle this. This is where the heating up part of your title gets literal. Just this week, in April 2026, Oracle made a massive move to solve the energy crisis. They have partnered with Bloom Energy for nearly 3 gigawatts of fuel cell power. Instead of waiting for years for local utility companies to build power lines, Oracle is building its own off-grid power plant. They are literally bypassing the grid to ensure their AI servers never go dark. This level of aggressive expansion is why Oracle Cloud Infrastructure revenue jumped 84% in most recent quarter. While the big three are growing at steady clips, Oracle is growing like a startup on a steroid. Now we have to talk about the red flag, which is $300 billion. Sounds great on paper, but Wall Street is nervous. Oracle stock has been going through some intense volatility lately. Why? Because customer concentration. Over 50% of Oracle's future backlog is tied to one company, which is OpenAI. If OpenAI struggles to monetize its model, or if the AI bubble cools down, Oracle is left holding the bill for billions of dollars in hardware and in data centers. Oracle's debt to equity ratio is also significantly higher than Microsoft or Amazon. They are borrowing heavily to build this future. They are spending $50 billion in capital expenditure this year alone. It's a bet the farm movement for Larry Ellison. Is Oracle a ticking time bomb or a visionary genius? The market can't quite decide at this point in time. So, where does this leave us? Oracle has officially graduated. They are no longer the database company or the fourth placed cloud. With 300 billion jackpot in hand, they are the specialized AI cloud. That's the world's most powerful startup as flocking it. The cloud war is heating up because the rules have changed. It's no longer about who has the most features. It's about who has the most GPUs and most gigawatts. And Oracle has both. If they can execute on this backlog and diversify their client base beyond OpenAI, we might be looking at the new king of enterprise tech. But if the AI hype fails to meet reality, the $300 billion windfall could become a $300 billion lesson in over expansion. One thing is certain, Oracle isn't playing it safe anymore. They are playing for the whole jackpot. So friends, what do you think? Is Oracle the best AI player in the market, or the risk is too high? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dive into the tech that is going to shape 2026 and beyond. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you again in the next one. Before I leave, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. For decades, the thick yellow-orange clouds of Venus have hidden a secret. While we have understood the upper atmosphere, the lower haze has remained one of the planetary science's greatest enigma until now. In this video, we dive into the groundbreaking discovery that reveals the true source of this mysterious layer, which is cosmic dust. Let's go and find this out. Venus is often called as Earth's evil twin. At first glance, it is the same size, has the same composition, and sits right next door in our solar system. But beneath that beautiful glowing facade lies a nightmare. Surface temperature hot enough to melt lead, atmospheric pressures that would crush a submarine, and thick cloud of corrosive sulfuric acid. For over 50 years since the first probe, like the US, beg your pardon, Soviet Venera and NASA's Pioneer Venus descended into the toxic soup, scientists have been haunted by the specific mystery. Most of the Venus's clouds sit between 47 and 70 kilometers up, but deep below that, below the cloud cover in the lower haze, there is a layer of mysterious particles that shouldn't be there by all accounts. And what causes these particles to float in that area, it was a mystery. So what created them? Why won't they go away? For half a century we had no answers, but today in 2026 a team of researchers from Tokou University and the Royal Belgian Institute for Space Astronomy has finally cracked the case, and the answer didn't come from the volcanoes of Venus, it came from the stars. To understand the discovery, we have to understand why the lower haze is so enigmatic in the first place. Friends, if you have reached this far, please inform from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this live stream. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. On Earth, clouds are simple. Water evaporates, condenses, and eventually fall as rain. On Venus, it's a cycle of sulfur. Sulfuric acid clouds dominate the upper atmosphere. However, as you go deeper towards the surface, the temperature skyrockets. By the time you get below 47 kilometers, it becomes so hot that sulfuric acid cannot exist as a liquid droplet. It evaporates into gas. Logically, the clouds should just stop, but they don't. Probes descending through this kill zone in the year 1970 and it is detected a persistent ghostly haze of solid particles. For decades, the theories flew. Was it volcanic ash being kicked up from the surface? Was it some strange chemical reaction? We didn't understand at all. None of these models worked. The math never added up until Hiroki Karayu and his team decided to look at what Venus was eating from space. Every day, every planet in our solar system is bombarded by cosmic dust, tiny fragments left behind by the comets and colliding asteroids. We see these on Earth as shooting stars. When these meteors hit an atmosphere, they burn up, creating what scientists call meteoric smoke. These are nanometer-sized mineral particles, essentially tiny bits of iron, magnesium, and silicon. The research team used a state-of-the-art microphysical model to trace the life cycle of these particles as they enter the Venusian atmosphere. Here is the aha moment. As this cosmic dust drifts down from top of the atmosphere, it enters the sulfuric acid cloud deck. Instead of just passing through these tiny mineral bits as nuclei, essentially the seeds that sulfuric acid droplets grow around, but then the particles keep falling. They reach that 47-kilometer mark where the heat becomes unbearable. The sulfuric acid shell evaporates away, but the solid mineral core, which is the cosmic dust, remains. This is where the mystery is truly solved. When the acid evaporates, it leaves behind these naked mineral cores. Because the atmosphere at this depth is so dense, these tiny particles starts bumping into each other at very high rate. They don't just bounce off, they kick, they stick also. Sometimes they kick, move away and collide with other particles. This process is called the coagulation. These tiny grains of stardust clumps together to form larger, more complex particles. This is exactly what the Pioneer Venus probe saw decades ago, the haze of solid, non-volatile particles that survived the heat. The team simulation didn't just suggest this could happen. The result matched the decade-old data from Venera and the Pioneer probes with startling accuracy. After 50 years, the ghost of Venus has a name. It is the processed remains of billions of shooting stars. So why does this matter beyond just solving an old puzzle? Because this dust isn't just a passive visitor. It is actively terraforming, or rather Venus forming, the planet's climate. The researchers found that these cosmic seeds increase Venus' total cloud production by 20 to 30%. Without this rain of space dust, Venus might have thinner clouds, which would fundamentally change how much solar energy the planet reflects and how much heat it traps. Furthermore, these dust particles contains metallic elements like iron. This could finally explain the unknown UV absorber, the mysterious substance in Venus's cloud that sucks up ultraviolet light and has baffled astronomers for nearly a century. If the clouds are salted with iron from space, that explains the UV absorption perfectly. This discovery changes how we look at every planet. If the cosmic dust is shaping the atmosphere of Venus, it is likely doing the same for Jupiter, Saturn, and even distant exoplanets we are just now discovering. But the best part, we won't have to wait another 50 years to confirm this. In late 2020s, NASA Da Vinci mission will plunge through Venusian's atmosphere with most advanced sensors ever built. It will taste the air, measure the dust, and hopefully gives us high definition look at the cosmic haze we finally have understood now. The morning star still has many secrets, but thanks to a little bit of stardust and some brilliant modeling, one of its oldest mystery is finally put to rest. So friends, we have come to the end, and I see Megha Sharma joining us from LinkedIn, and she is joining us from Delhi. So Megha Sharma, great, you have informed us about your city. So friend, we have come to the end of our live stream today. Before I leave, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.